What if everything you know about success is an illusion? What if the world has taught you to chase goals, money, and recognition, but never taught you how to build yourself? Think about it for a moment. You meet people who look successful on the outside: big houses, busy calendars, and shiny achievements, but deep inside, they are empty. They react to every problem, they burn out easily, and they never feel truly fulfilled. Now imagine living a life where your peace does not depend on the noise around you, where your choices are guided by values, not moods, where success is not a trophy you win, but a person you become. That is the world Stephen Covey invites you, into a world where effectiveness begins within. Covey teaches that real success comes from mastering 7 powerful habits that align your character with timeless principles. He divides them into 2 stages: the private victory, which is mastery of yourself, and the public victory, which is mastery of your relationships. When you grow from the inside out, everything changes: your mindset, your influence, and your impact. Before we begin, subscribe if you believe success should start with inner transformation, not outer imitation, because this journey is not about changing others, it is about changing you. Chapter 1. Inside out, we all want results. We want better jobs, more money, stronger relationships, and more peace. So what do most people do? They chase external changes: a new skill, a new opportunity, a new environment. But Covey says something revolutionary. The problem is not the world around you, it is the world inside you. The inside-out approach means that true effectiveness begins with your thoughts, your character, and your paradigms, the invisible lenses through which you see life. Most people live outside in. They blame their boss, the economy, or their past. They say, if only my circumstances were better, I would be happier. But Covey turns that logic upside down. He says, if you want to change your life, change your paradigms first. He compares it to planting seeds. If the roots are unhealthy, you can water the leaves all day long, but nothing will grow. Your habits, your results, your emotions, they are all branches, but your paradigms, those are the roots. The inside-out journey begins with humility, accepting that the world will not change until you do. It is uncomfortable but freeing, because once you own your growth, no one can take it away. But now the question is, how do you take control of that inner world? How do you stop being a victim of circumstances and start becoming the creator of your destiny? That begins with habit 1, be proactive. Chapter 2. Be proactive. Have you ever said, I had no choice? When you say that, Covey would smile and tell you you always have a choice. Most people live like they are at the mercy of life, reacting to every problem, every mood, every person who annoys them. They let traffic decide their emotions. They let other people's opinions shape their self-worth. That is the life of a reactive person. Habit 1, be proactive, teaches that between what happens to you and how you respond, there is always a space, and inside that space lies your power to choose. Covey introduces 2 powerful ideas: the circle of concern, everything that worries you but you cannot control, and the circle of influence, everything you can control. Right now, reactive people focus on their circle of concern. They complain about politics, weather, and other people's behavior. But proactive people focus only on what they can influence: their thoughts, actions, and attitude. When you live proactively, your energy grows, your confidence expands, and your circle of influence begins to widen naturally. Covey reminds us that proactive people are not emotionless robots. They feel anger, fear, and stress, but they choose their response consciously. They do not let feelings become their master. So once you take full responsibility for your life, what is next? You must decide where that life is heading, and that brings us to habit to begin with the end in mind. Chapter 3. Begin with the end in mind. Imagine this. You are attending a funeral. The air is heavy. People are gathered in silence. You walk closer to the casket and realize you are attending your own. What would you want people to say about you? What kind of person were you? What kind of impact did you leave behind? That question is not meant to scare you, it is meant to wake you up. Habit 2, begin with the end in mind, means to live intentionally, to design your life before living it. Covey says, all things are created twice, first in the mind, then in reality. Most people drift through life reacting to whatever comes next, but highly effective people start with a clear vision of where they want to go and who they want to become. They let that vision guide every decision, every habit, every yes and no. Covey suggests writing a personal mission statement, a small document that defines your core values and purpose. It becomes your inner compass. When life gets noisy, your mission keeps you grounded. When others try to control your path, your vision reminds you of your direction. It is not about predicting your future, it is about creating it. But having a vision alone is not enough. You can dream endlessly, but without disciplined action, dreams fade. And that is what Habit 3, put first things first, is all about, turning purpose into practice. Chapter 3, put first things first. Imagine you start your day full of energy with a long list of things to do. You finish 10 tasks by noon, but somehow none of them truly mattered. You were busy, not productive. Habit 3, put first things first, is about breaking that trap. It teaches you to manage your time by priorities, not pressure. Covey divides tasks into 4 quadrants: urgent and important, not urgent but important, urgent but not important, and neither. Most people spend their lives reacting to urgency, answering messages, fixing small problems, and chasing distractions. But the truly effective focus on the important but not urgent quadrant, the space where growth happens. That means working on relationships, long-term projects, self-development, and health before they become crises. To put first things first, you need discipline, the courage to say no to good things so you can say yes to the best ones. It means waking up early to plan instead of reacting. It means protecting time for what fuels your future, even when the world screams for attention. When you live by your priorities, you move from being a slave to your schedule to being the master of it. But managing time is not enough, because sometimes life's biggest breakthroughs come from how we see the world and others. The next habit flips your thinking in a way you will never forget. Chapter 4, think win-win. Have you ever walked away from a deal, a conversation, or even a friendship feeling like one of you had to lose for the other to win? That is the mindset most people live, with a world of competition, scarcity, and ego. Covey introduces a new paradigm, win-win. It means believing that there is enough success, opportunity, and happiness for everyone. It is not about being soft, it is about being strong enough to care about others while staying true to your own values. A win-win person has an abundance mindset. They do not fear others' success because it does not take away from theirs. They seek solutions that build trust and mutual respect instead of fear and manipulation. But this habit requires one thing most people struggle with: emotional maturity. You must balance courage and consideration. Courage to stand for what you need, consideration to understand what others need. When both sides win, relationships grow stronger, deals last longer, and trust deepens. But here's the real challenge: how do you understand others deeply enough to reach that level of trust? The next habit reveals the secret key to influence that most people completely overlook. Chapter 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Picture this. You are talking to someone, trying to explain your feelings, your ideas, your pain, but they interrupt, they judge. They give advice before even listening. You leave the conversation unheard, unseen, and disconnected. That is how most people communicate. They listen not to understand, but to reply. Habit 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood, is one of the deepest lessons Covey teaches. It is about shifting your focus from talking 2. Truly listening with empathy, patience, and presence. Empathic listening is not about agreeing with the other person. It is about seeing the world through their eyes. When you listen this way, something magical happens. People open up. They feel safe. And when they feel heard, they finally hear you too. Most arguments, whether in relationships or business, happen because people are too busy defending themselves instead of understanding others. Covey says if you can understand another person deeply, you gain influence effortlessly, you earn trust without asking for it. So before giving advice, before reacting, ask yourself, do I really understand their story? Because when you listen first, your words later carry 10 times more power. But once you start understanding people on this level, the next question becomes, how do you work together? How do you create results that are bigger than what you could ever achieve alone? Habit 6 holds that answer. Chapter 6. Synergize. Imagine a world where 1 plus 1 does not equal 2, it equals 10. That is what synergy is about, the magic that happens when differences come together to create something greater. Covey says synergy is not just teamwork, it is creative cooperation. It means respecting differences, celebrating them, and using them to find new solutions neither side could see alone. Most people fear differences, they see them as conflict. But effective people see them as gifts, because real growth happens not in agreement, but in diversity. Synergy happens when people feel safe to share their truth. When you combine trust from habit 4 win-win and understanding from habit 5 seek first to understand, habit 6 becomes unstoppable. Covey gives examples in families, teams, and companies where synergy led to innovation and transformation. It is the habit that turns competition into collaboration and strangers into allies. But there is one truth: you cannot fake synergy. It only happens when ego steps aside and purpose steps forward. So the big question now is, how do you sustain all this growth? How do you keep improving when life keeps draining you? The final habit is the secret to lasting effectiveness. Chapter 7. Sharpen the Saw. Picture this. A man in the forest sawing a tree for hours. Sweat drips down his face. Someone passes by and says, "Why not take a break and sharpen your saw?" The man replies, "I cannot stop, I am too busy cutting." That is how most of us live. We keep working, grinding, and pushing without realizing our saw is getting dull. Habit 7, Sharpen the Saw, is about self-renewal, recharging your body, mind, heart, and spirit so you can keep growing instead of burning out. Covey divides renewal into 4 parts: physical exercise, sleep, and nutrition to keep your body strong, mental learning, reading, and challenging your mind, emotional or social building, strong relationships and empathy, spiritual reconnecting with your purpose through prayer, meditation, or reflection. When you sharpen these 4 areas, you expand your capacity, you become more focused, creative, and grounded. You start living life by design, not by exhaustion. Covey says sharpening the saw is not a luxury, it is survival. Because if you do not take time to renew yourself, your performance and your peace will eventually collapse. So pause, breathe, and invest in yourself. You are the instrument of your own success. Final thoughts, and that brings us to the end of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, a book not about tricks, but about transformation. These habits are not steps to success, they are a path to becoming someone who inspires it. If this summary made you think, feel, or see life differently, then imagine what the full book could do. And if you want more powerful book summaries like this, ones that wake your mind, stir your emotions, and change how you live, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next book we explore might just be the one that transforms your life next.